Hey, what's up guys, Hunter4 here, and today I wanted to take a moment to talk to you guys about the new upcoming Rainbow6 Siege DLC. That's right, this DLC that's coming in the early of May, set in Hong Kong. Well, people have done some digging, so people in the community have uncovered some information about this DLC, and I wanted to give you my opinion, sort of share with you with what they've found, and speculate on what this could mean. Now, they've discovered this information by digging through the files that are associated with the game volume that you have when you play on the public test server. So the public test server is something Ubisoft uses nowadays to test out upcoming builds or minor balance changes, and it sort of lets them push the state of the game a bit, and if something becomes blatantly overpowered, they know, and it doesn't really affect the majority of players, and it doesn't affect ranked play, for example. So that's what that's for, and on there people have discovered some few things, and I'll be sharing some screenshots with you. Now, the first thing that got discovered was the new map name, which is actually Theme Park. And Theme Park, although not playable in the public test server, otherwise we'd have tons of images of the actual map itself, was available as a map preferences setting. So if you go to your game options, there's actually a map preferences that you could set to make it more or less likely to get certain maps. Theme Park was an option there, although nobody could play it yet. So speculating sort of on what Theme Park could be, we have to look at both how the game has been designed so far and what we see in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong theme parks, while there's Disney China, I believe, which is in Hong Kong, as well as there's like a water park, like an Ocean City or something like that, water park that is in Hong Kong. They're both feature very wide open spaces, various stalls, when we have to sort of guess at what we're going to expect, we're not going to expect, large, wide open walkways to be where the terrorists are obviously placed. And something like the castle associated with Disney becomes an option. These buildings where we have dark rides, if you've ever been to a theme park, or indoor roller coasters, or closed sort of food areas, become prime spots for this sort of counter-terrorism gameplay that we expect in Rainbow6 Siege. I especially like the castle. It'd be awesome if it's set in the castle. Food courts would also be interesting, but again, they would have to be covered food courts, so you can't have like stalls or something that sell food, and then you got about 200 square feet of space that's actually covered because defenders can't go outside. And so if we have a map where certain areas outside are allowed, it becomes very tough for people to sort of know where they can go and where they can't go, and it becomes tough for defenders to know that, and so I don't expect that to happen. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the new operators. There's 2 new operators coming in the upcoming DLC, and through some digging, the community members have managed to find out placeholder files in the game volumes for the public test server, and they found out that the 2 new operators are named Dazzler and Caltrop. We can infer from this that Caltrop would be our defensive operator, as he would use some sort of motion or trap-based thing, because traditionally a caltrop is little spikes that someone throws on the ground. Those are caltrop. So caltrop is clearly our defensive operator, and this becomes even more clear when we look at the game files associated with his gadget, which we'll get into in a minute. And that means, of course, that Dazzler is our offensive operator. And looking at these 2 operators, we find a myriad of game files, or placeholder game files, associated with them, and from them we find out that Dazzler will be getting a frag grenade, which is nice because area denial has certainly disappeared from certain operators. I mean, Capito originally had frag grenades, but he lost those because he had a lot of area denial on one person. It was huge. So Dazzler getting frag grenades is certainly something that I like to see. And from that, we can also see that Caltrop has a placeholder file called Mine deployed up cloaking, as well as in hand. So clearly, Caltrop's gadget is a mine of some sort, whether it's a proximity mine or it's a actual like pressure plate mine. So I don't know if it'll be something you have to step on or something that you have to walk near, but it does say deployed up cloaking. So I imagine that Caltrop's gadget will have some sort of active cloaking. I don't know if you've seen Echo's drone, but I imagine it will operate on a similar similar functionality. Now, looking into more game files, we see that Caltrop's mine is got placeholder files associated with Caltrop_toxic mine, so clearly his weapon will have some sort of toxic component, or maybe he'll be like Capito, where he's got sort of this duality, where he's got a mine that's maybe non-lethal, and then a mine that is lethal. Now, the gadget concussion mine isn't directly associated with Caltrop's name, at least in the file directory, at least the screenshots that I have of the file directory, which means that it might be a new sort of a side gadget for defensive operators, sort of like the impact grenades were. On the other hand, it might be just entirely specific to Caltrop, and we'll get that duality that we see with people like Capito. I think this would be totally amazing to have. I like duality, I like multiple uses. Utility is certainly a big aspect of this game in allowing you to stall the enemies or get kills. Now, unfortunately, there isn't really any file directly associated with Dazzler's gadget, at least as far as we can find. There's this weapon gadget, Dazzler grenade, and there's weapon, stuff like that. There's frag grenades, but we haven't really seen any other associated file like Caltrop's concussion mines, for example. But if we look at his name, he's got the name Dazzler. Now, Dazzle usually has something to do light or another, so we're not going to end up with someone like Blitz with a bedazzled shield. We're going to end up with something new and unique. And if we look in the military recently, there is something called the Laser Blinding Dazzler. So it's a weapon. It's a module that is attached to a gun or something, and it's basically a non-lethal laser that flashes really bright light and sort of blinds your target. And so I'm imagining that Dazzler is going to operate sort of like Blackbeard, where he's got the gadget directly attached to his gun, or Buck, where he's got the gadget directly attached to his gun, only instead of being a ballistic shield or a shotgun, he instead blinds his enemies. Whether or not this will be a constant thing, where if you look at him, you're just blinded, or if this will be something that he has to activate. Either way, it's certainly very interesting to see, and I can't wait for this DLC to come out. Again, this DLC comes out in the early May. As soon as any new details sort of come out, I'll be sure to talk to you guys about it. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like. If you dislike the video, make sure you leave a dislike. And feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you think that this new Rainbow6 Siege DLC is as interesting as you're hoping it's going to be? Do you think I'm entirely wrong in what I've sort of speculated on here today? Let me know what you think down in the comments below.